Redslog, day 35. Something is wrong. Something is very, very wrong. I have been here for over a month now, and at the start, it was refreshing. It was kind of fun. But as the weeks have gone on, things have started to feel more and more fucked. More and more messed up, and I don't know what to do. A reporter has been hounding me, trying to find out who I am. They got an inkling that I'm not Onesie, and that I'm a nobody, and they've been latching onto it. And a couple of weeks ago, I got hounded by a video call with them, where they caught out where I am, and who I am, and published it. Published it to their hundreds and thousands of fans, and now everyone knows I'm not OnesieBanette. Everyone knows I'm Red Sugimori. I've had to suffocate and shut myself in here because I kept getting people standing outside of my window screaming at me that I'm a fraud. I keep getting phone calls because someone has leaked my number, saying that I don't deserve this spot and I shouldn't be here. And now I've been invited next week for a meeting with the head of the PPL. They're thinking about kicking me out of the competition. And if I'm kicked out of the competition, the last of my Frenergy will go with it. I will have no way of keeping in contact with Kobukan. A few weeks ago, Blue explained to me that my Frenergy is the only way that people back in Kobukan can keep in contact with me. It's the only way that they're able to locate where I am and establish a means of communication with me. And if that goes, I'm stuck here and I won't be able to get home. I need this to stop. I need this to end. And I don't know what I'm gonna do. Every week, my opponents have been playing dirty. Last week, I got completely stepped on by Vepsis. The week before that, Elly got in my head just before I was about to play, saying that she was going to expose me for who I really was. Well, she's right. And now, I don't know what to do. And now I have to play Elly. And my head has not been in the game since. I miss my friends in Kobukan. I miss my family. I miss the outside world. I haven't seen the sun in weeks because I'm scared to open up the curtains. I don't know what to do. And to top things off, Detective Striker hasn't been around for weeks. He was the only source of any kind of semblance of normality, any kind of sense of stabilization, of routine. I could guarantee he would be knocking on that door, and he's not been here. He tells me he knows I'm from Kobukan and then vanishes. How am I going to get home? Can I even get home? I don't know what's going on anymore, and I feel like a fraud. I hate it here. I just want to go home. Red Sugimori, out.
Another week, another fantastic battle to narrate for every single one of you. Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Raihan, and I am once again back for another week of the Pokemon Premier League. But once again, I of course am not alone. Since you all loved him so much last week, we've managed to get the illustrious Professor Oak to return with us here today. How are you, Sam?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Raihan. I'm a little bit sore around the ears. All of this loud cheering has given me a spot of tinnitus.
Really? I'd have thought the illustrious Professor Oak would have been used to speaking in front of loud, cheering, adoring fans.
Oh, it's been a good few years since I've had to do any of that, Mr. Raihan.
I'm not as young as I used to be, after all. So you mean you're not 18 years old?
Oh, come off it. Anyway, this week pits Mr. Red Sugimori against Elly and the Shanghai Dragons. Not a very good matchup on paper for our Kobukanian champion, but I think that with the right tools and the right play, you should be able to take this one. Don't you, Mr. Raihan?
Absolutely. I believe that this one can go either way. Now, of course, there's been a little bit of controversy recently. Some people have been trying to hack into Red's personal life. Obviously that's going to be affecting his play a little bit. How do you think he's going to be able to cope with the pressure?
Oh, it's Mr. Red Sugimori we're talking about here. He handles pressure like it's nothing. As I once heard him say, pressure is for tires, not for people.
That's a good saying. I might have to steal that one for myself. Anyway, it looks like both of our combatants are ready, so without further ado, let's go and head down to the stadium, shall we? And Elly Sucks is going to send out her first Pokemon, which is the Mesprit. And Red's going to lead with Dawn the Kingdra. That's a pretty bog standard matchup here. Not really sure which way it can go. Looks like the Kingdra would ideally just be able to click Hydro Pump here and do massive damage. And as we can see, that's exactly what Red's going to choose to do here. Locking that move in very, very quickly.
Well, as you can see, Red must be very confident about needing damage on this Mesprit to clean up late game. And we're going to see the first terastallization of the match here, as Red's Kingdra is going to Terra into a Water type. That's going to power up the amount of damage this Hydro Pump will do to this Mesprit, one of his key targets. And he goes for the move, and it misses! That is very, very unfortunate and allows the Mesprit to get off a Stealth Rock absolutely freely. Not a great start for Mr. Sugimori, eh?
Not even slightly, Professor. That puts him on the back foot from turn 1 and allows his opponent to get up completely free entry hazards. And of course, as we've seen, entry hazards have messed Mr. Sugimori up in the past. And Elly's going to withdraw this Mesprit now, not wanting it to take another big hit, and it's going to go out into Rotom, which is going to take this Hydro Pump pretty well, I'm imagining. It's still Terra boosted, and it does about 25%, so not insignificant damage, but not damage that you really want to be taking nonetheless. And Red's going to immediately click to go out into his Raichu here, very confident in its ability to take hits from this Rotom, I'd imagine.
Well, with this Terra Kingdra now being pure water type, electric moves are very, very free into Mr. Sugimori, so Raichu has to be able to switch in at a moment's notice and basically sponge those hits.
And Reddy's going to withdraw this Kingdra here, really not wanting to take a super effective Thunderbolt or a Volt Switch, and he's going to go out into Flobberdosh. That is the Raichu, who's going to come in here and take a bit of Stealth Rock damage. Of course, getting them early is very good for Elly as she goes for a Hydro Pump here. And Flobberdosh eats that up, doing very little damage there. That must be Assault Vested as all hell.
Methinks this Raichu wasn't brought specifically for this duty. On Elly's draft, she does have a Jolteon, which this Raichu would have ideally been the switch into. That's why it's running the Iron Tail move, I imagine. But yes, because the Jolteon didn't show up in the team preview, Raichu's basically got to switch into this Rotom on repeat and click Knockoff, which isn't ideal by any stretch of the imagination, but unfortunately you have to be able to adapt in society, and in Pokemon battles specifically.
Absolutely, Professor, but Elly's not going to want to keep this Rotom in, obviously seeing that it might not want to lose its item from a knockoff, and Muck is going to be the switch in here. And Flobberdosh going to hit that with a knockoff and get rid of a Citrus Berry. Very common item in this meta, very, very common to see Pokemon running it on everything, so getting rid of it on a very key target like Muck is obviously very good, right?
Well, yes, now Muck isn't able to recover any health and can be chipped down by moves like this Volt Switch here, which is going to reposition and allow Raichu to get on out of dodge, switch out of the situation and go into a more offensive threat.
Well, looks like Red's going to choose Flannery the Heatran to be the answer here, which is going to take a little bit of Stealth Rock damage. And Muck's going to go for them Toxic Spikes, spraying them all over the field. Not great. Now everything's going to take Stealth Rocks and a round of Poison. That's less than ideal, isn't it?
Well, this seems to be a common theme so far in the season. All of his opponents seem to be trying to use Stealth Rocks on either turn 1 or turn 2. And Red has tried to call that out a couple of times, but it's not always gone to plan. Now, the Muck obviously doesn't want to stay in here, and is going to switch on out into Rotom again, who should be able to take this incoming fighting move fairly well. But Flannery the Heatran goes for Stealth Rocks on its own. That's pretty good. Red fighting fire with fire, I see.
Or more specifically, fighting rocks with rocks. If you can't beat them, join them, I say. And Red's Heatran's going to go for the Magma Storm here, and that's really not going to do much damage at all. And it is going to push this Rotom over the range for a Citrus Berry, a second one in the game. Looks like everyone and their mother's running Citrus Berries nowadays. But this Rotom's just going to respond with a Hydro Pump, and that is going to take down Heatran. Why did he stay in with it there? He had a perfectly good switch in the Raichu.
Red obviously believed that with the spread on this Heatran that he had, he'd be able to take the Hydro Pump and be able to get a bit more chip damage off. Unfortunately, that's not come to pass, and he's down 6-5 very early. And the response is, of course, this Lurantis here, who's going to switch in and take a Toxic, which is not very good at all, is it? Not at all, Professor. But what it does mean, on the upside, is that this Lurantis is going to threaten out this Rotom Wash here, potentially force it to go out into an unfavourable matchup and give Red some chip on some key targets. But we've got to at least hit the move first, so I guess it's time to find out what's going to happen. Well, Elly's going to hard switch here, get on out and dodge with this Rotom, potentially fearing some kind of a Choice Scarf set coming out here. And we're going to see Muck coming in to soak up any kind of hit this Lurantis wants to throw out at it. And the Leaf Storm's going to come out and it's going to do very, very little damage. Muck, of course, is a very, very solid defensive Pokemon with a very good special defense stat. Not going to take anything. We're going to see even more poison damage racking up here. This is going to start getting ugly if Red can't turn this around. Well, looks like he doesn't want to keep this Lurantis in against the Muck. And he's going to switch it out here. And he's going to go out into Clara, who appears to be the Galarian Weezing, of course. Which is going to take a little bit of Stealth Rock damage. But we're going to see it is indeed Levitate. And that Gunk Shot's going to do a hell of a lot of damage. But we can see that the Weezing doesn't have Defog. So these hazards are here to stay. And he just goes for a strange Steam on this Muck, doing a bit of damage to it. We see the knockoff come out, which is going to get rid of the Piappa Berry, which was there, I'm imagining, in order to try and take a hit from this Iron Valiant. But things aren't looking great for Red here. He needs to get rid of this Muck. He needs to break down that Rotom, but he's going to struggle to do either. Yes, he is. And the problem is, because he's got these hazards on this side of the field, everything that comes out has to be a perfect send-out. It has to be the perfect moment. Otherwise, he is just going to lose a bunch of health and have to reposition afterwards. It's not exactly a great situation now, is it?
Well, Clara's just going to go for a strange Steam now and do a little bit of chip damage to the Muck, who's going to respond with a Gunk Shot. Looks like Red's very happy for this Weezing to go down. I don't think he knows what to do from this point onwards. His whole game plan's been completely unravelled in front of him, and he doesn't really have any answers to anything Elly's throwing at him.
Exactly. Those entry hazards really did put a lot of pressure on Red. They forced him to have to take a lot of damage on Pokemon he didn't want to.
He's going to go for a Pain Split here. Potentially a bit of a last gambit, trying to live another Gunk Shot.
And live another one he does, living it on 1 health. That should at least allow him to get another Strange Steam off, but this Muck has really put the pressure down on him, wouldn't you say?
I would indeed, Professor. And Clara's going to go for one more Strange Steam before going down. But at least this time she does land the Confusion, which at least does allow this Weezing to leave Muck with a little parting gift. And Muck's going to hit itself in Confusion. Oh, that is perfect timing, allowing the Weezing to live on 1 health. That should allow Clara to at least win the exchange. And she goes for a Strange Steam and misses. Oh my days. And Muck's going to try and finish off Clara here. And it's going to hit itself as well! These two poison types just didn't know what to do in front of each other. In my eyes, they were both confused.
Not as confused as me, Raihan. I'm not really sure what I've just witnessed. I think I've just seen a bunch of poison types not wanting to hurt each other. Friendship is good, but normally you want to keep friendship off of the battlefield.
And Elly's going to send out Crocodile to try and finish off this Weezing. It would be a little bit surprising if it was able to live any hits from 1 health, but we'll see what happens. Normally, Crocodile gets basically hard-walled by Galarian Weezing, but Elly's not going to mess about. She's just going to go for knockoff and finish off the Weezing. Goodbye, Clara. You somehow managed to fluke a kill. Unfortunately, that's going to give a Moxie boost to this Crocodile. And if this thing is choice scarfed, then it looks like this game might just be over right here and now. However, we're going to see Dawn come in to try and revenge. Pointed stones and a bit of poison going to be racking up on Dawn, and she's hopefully just going to go for a Hydro Pump and finish this Crocodile off. Well, Elly's not going to chance it, kind of revealing that she is not choice scarfed, and she's going to go out into the very safe switch-in, which is, of course, Rotom Wash, which has been a little bit of a pain in Onesie's side so far. But Onesie's going to call that out and go for a flip turn, gaining a little bit of last gasp momentum. A little bit of extra chip onto the Rotom as it comes in, and now, at least he has a bit of switch initiative for the first time in the game. And his response is to go out into Erica de Laurentis, who now doesn't really have any answers. Elly, of course, does have a Dragonite, but that's not going to want to take a potential knockoff, and breaking that thing's multi-scale would be fantastic for a potential Basculegion late-game sweep, don't you think?
The problem that Red has now is that he's trying to break a certain amount of damage thresholds to allow his late-game sweepers to finish the job. Dragonite needs to have the multi-scale broken, Rotom needs to be a little bit weaker, and of course we need that Mesprit chipped, which would have happened on the first turn of the battle had Kingdra managed to hit its Hydro Pump. But this game doesn't appear to be quite just away from Red yet. Sure, he's got the numerical disadvantage, but as we see here, Elly is more than happy to try and stall this game out a little bit. She's happy with playing it slow. She knows she's in the driving seat, and she can let the residual damage from Protect and Toxic Spikes rack up here. She's playing this very well. Red is going to really struggle to break this down.
Well, Elly's going to pull a switch here, and presumably going to go out into Dragonite over here, who's going to take this potential Leaf Storm very, very well. And at least the multi-scale's now broken. And that's a massive critical hit there. Massive damage, of course. Oh, we do love to see that, don't we, Professor?
Oh, the ironic critical hit that doesn't matter. We love to see it.
And Elly's Dragonite's just going to go for a roost here, meaning that Laurentis is not going to be able to break this scale effectively. It does go for a Terra Blast, doing a little bit more, and getting a second consecutive critical hit. Luck does appear to be on Red's side, but it doesn't appear to be on this side enough. It's been a bit of a strange game for Red here, but as we've seen, Elly is more than happy to just try and take this game slowly. Oh, Professor. Elly is absolutely taking control of this game now. And even with this last gasp Custap Berry going for the Terra Blast, I really don't see what Red can do here. The Dragonite's going to go for a Hurricane, and Laurentis is going to avoid it. And the poison hopefully should take it down. Oh, but it lives on 1 health. And quite frankly, that's not what you want right here, is it? You actually wanted it to go down, because then it could potentially have allowed the Basculegion to come in and finish it off from the health it was at. And because Dragonite survived, it gets to go for a roost, meaning it gets itself all the way back up to full, repairing the multi-scale. And Laurentis does go for a Rain Dance just to try and provide a little bit of extra damage, potentially trying to facilitate a sweep. But it's not going to happen at this rate, is it? Erica's going to die to the poison. And now it's 5 on 3. And the 3 left really don't look like they can do much against what Elly has left, can they? Flobberdosh is going to be the next Pokemon to come out here, potentially trying to maybe land a Nuzzle, and get a little bit of a status on this Dragonite. Maybe hit it with an Alluring Voice, maybe try and knock off whatever item it's got. I'll be honest, it looks a bit futile from this point, doesn't it, Professor?
Yes, I'm afraid it does. Things don't look great for Mr. Sudamori. I don't really know what he can do to win this matchup.
And Dragonite just goes for Protect here, stalling out even more damage onto this Raichu by virtue of the poison. You hate to see it. It's just unfortunate. Elly's in control of this match and making it slow. It's an absolute spectacle on how to take control of a matchup, but for the neutrals, it's not great viewing, is it? Well, Raichu is going to withdraw here, potentially just trying to, well, I don't really know to be honest, maybe avoid an extreme speed. And we're going to see Basculegion come in here for the first time. Now this is what Red was trying to lead up to allow Basculegion to be able to come in late game and sweep. But Elly's going to withdraw the Dragonite. Bit of a strange call from Elly, but she's going to go out into Rotom, which is going to take a round of Stealth Rocks and be able to completely ignore this Basculegion. It's going to force it to lock itself into Head Smash now as well, meaning it's going to take even more chip damage. It's not going to be able to finish the game off at this rate, is it? And Red is going to go for the Head Smash, and this is going to connect with the Rotom. It is going to take it out, so at least Red does get a bit more differential out of this game. I think at this point he's kind of got to choose to go for it. Just try and play for kills. Try and get as much differential as possible. Try and keep yourself in the season. Give yourself something to fight for. Because quite frankly, this game, it just appears to be gone, doesn't it?
Well, Elly's going to send out the Dragonite now, which does still have its multi-scale intact. Maybe if Laurent hesitated with a move earlier, then this Head Smash here might have been able to KO, but unfortunately not. Laurent has decided to go for Rain Dance instead, and the Dragonite gets to click Hurricane, which will finish off Basculegion. Very, very unfortunate as always, but yes, we are now unfortunately in the end game.
Well, Red's going to send out Dawn the Kingdra, who of course is Choice Scarfed and does have Draco Meteor, so it can kill this Dragonite. But is Elly going to allow that to happen, or is she just going to switch out to preserve differential? No idea, to be honest. Well, Elly's going to do exactly what she needs to do in this situation and click Protect to find out what this Kingdra is going to lock itself into. Of course, it's going to lock itself into Draco Meteor, meaning that Kingdra's just going to take more and more chip, and she can find out whether she needs to switch into Iron Valiant or whether she needs to just stay in. And of course, now that she knows that this Kingdra is going to be locked into Draco Meteor, she's going to go out into Iron Valiant. And Iron Valiant, of course, is just going to take this. And it's going to be able to clean the game up from here, unfortunately. So, yeah. It sucks, but that's the game. It's going to be at least a 4-0 or a 3-0. And in order to preserve a bit more differential, Red's going to switch out into Flabberdosh to take the hit and allow Kingdra to relock itself into a different move. Flabberdosh, of course, is just going to die straight up to this Moonblast here. Not fantastic, but it is what it is. And now the Kingdra comes out to try and lock itself into Hydro Pump and maybe take something else down with it and to lower the score. And we're going to see him lock himself into Hydro Pump very quickly here. And Iron Valiant is not going to stay around on the field. It is indeed going to be switched out here. Elly potentially trying to save its kill differential for the MVP race later in the season. And Hydro Pump is going to come in. It's going to do big, big damage to this Mesprit. It's Terra Water. And it really does rip through it. Not quite enough for the KO, but it is going to put it into Citrus Berry range. But even after the amount of HP that it gains there, I don't think it's going to live another one. And Kingdra is just going to click it again, going to lock into it again, and we're going to see, oh, it's missed. The game ends in perfect symmetry the way that it began. Turn 1, Kingdra misses a Hydro Pump on Mesprit. Final turn, Kingdra misses a Hydro Pump on Mesprit, who goes for a U-turn to reposition into Crocodile and allow the poison to take it out and give the kills to Muck. That's a very unfortunate game here, but it is what it is. It's an exercise in control. Elly isolated the gameplay and said, no, I'm going to make this game as slow and awkward for you as possible, and it worked perfectly. It's a brilliant, brilliant display from Elly, but unfortunately it means Red's going to go down 4-0 here. What a horrible, horrible position to be in.
Honestly, Raihan, that was not a good showing from Red. He made some very bad decisions in prep, a few gambles based on what he thought Elly was going to bring, but because of that, he kind of lost it right at the end because of it. And while it's never fun to watch a game descend so slowly into just slipping away from you, I hope it serves as a valuable lesson for Red Sugimori. Hopefully, he can come back from this, and at least record another W or two before the end of the season. Anyway, I think that's about enough for me. My ears ache and my head hurts, so I'm going to go and have a lie down. Thank you for having me, Raihan.
Thank you for being here, Professor, and thank you all at the Academy for being here as well. And we'll catch you next week for yet another Pokemon Premier League game.
I'm not doing this anymore. If these Pokemon Premier League players want to play dirty, if they want to try and pull disgusting, horrific strategies against me, then I'll play dirty too. Yeah. 2 can play at that game. 2 can play at that game. No more Mr. Nice Red. The gloves are off. I'm not here to play nice. I'm not here to make up the numbers. Fuck Phrenergy. Fuck my friends. Fuck CobraCon. All that matters is here and now. All that matters. Fuck everything to do with this fucking persona. Fuck Red. I don't even know who I am anymore. So it's time to reinvent myself. They want onesie? They can have onesie. Fuck the PPL.